Alright, Shalom, this is Azimawah. First and foremost, I want to say call Halayim Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to the elect, the Bakiyar, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. As always, it's an honor and privilege to continue to do this work. This is from thesun.com. And it reads, deadly blast, Baltimore explosion. 1 woman dead and 6 injured as explosion destroys 3 homes, leaving kids trapped in rubble. See if I can play the video. And you can see, y'all shot forbid, there's too bad of a glare, but you can see the damage that happened from that gas explosion. And a gas explosion can happen anywhere, man. And you heard a couple years back, a whole neighborhood in San Francisco blew up, man, which PG&E was sued over. Pacific Gas and Electric. So yeah. So there was you see all the damage happening. Sure is a diverse class. Probably in a foreign country. But I'm gonna read the article, Salaki. This is 1 woman was killed and at least 6 injured after a gas explosion leveled 3 homes in Baltimore. Children were reported to be among those trapped in the rubble following the Monday morning blast, which sparked a huge rescue mission. And from the looks of the houses, it looks like it's kind of like some projects, man. I'm not too familiar about Baltimore's architect, but it almost reminds me of a neighborhood I used to frequent or not frequent, but drove by close to South Sacramento, right before you get to oh man, I forgot the name of the road, but it's right when you're on the 50 highway. Have a little projects made of brick, brown projects, if they still even up there, if they're still even there. But it says 3 houses were completely destroyed in the blast, which happened just before 10 a.m. on Rester Town Road in Rester Town Station, a neighborhood in the city's northwest. Authorities said 1 person, an adult woman, was pronounced dead at the scene. The Baltimore Fire Department said 4 people were taken to hospital with critical injuries. 3 of those people were quickly pulled to safety and transported to hospital, but the 4th was stuck under the rubble for several hours before being freed around noon. There were different reports of the number of people trapped in the rubble or unaccounted for. Rescue workers were still searching for survivors on Monday afternoon with K9 units and heavy machinery. Kevin Matthews, who lives on the block, told the Baltimore Sun he could hear trapped children shouting, "Come get us, we're stuck," shortly after the explosion. Matthews said he saw 1 person buried from the neck down. Another person was sheltering in the closet when authorities arrived. A Baltimore Fire Department spokesperson said the recovery mission was labor-intensive. It was a major gas explosion, so you had homes that were pretty much crumbled. A ton of debris on the ground that we're trying to comb through. And let me scroll the picture down a little bit slower. So you see the devastation, man. And this was all given approval to be executed by Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man. You know? So you see all the damage, which, you know, like I said earlier, this reminds me of a projects, or I could be mistaken. You know, I never been to the east of the United States. As far as I ever been was Detroit. I want to say Detroit and Chicago. And I've been to Canada, but never to Maryland, you know. Rescue crews, see them coming through things. It says the force partly destroyed a fourth house in the row, and the surrounding streets were strewn with bricks and glass from shattered windows. Metal security door blown off its hinges could be seen laying in the front yard of another home. Firefighters confirmed a gas leak led to the explosion, although the exact cause of what led to it was still being investigated. Neighbor Dean Jones told the Sun US he was sitting on his porch when he heard and felt a blast, then watched a huge smoke cloud fill the air. Fearing for his life, Jones said he took off running barefoot down the street, covered in debris. And then you see the devastation. You know, so from the looks of one of the survivors, I'm thinking that it was a minority, as they say, neighborhood, a Jake neighborhood, right? It says it was catastrophic, like when you watch over countries where they have bombings and things like that. Jones said it was like watching that in real life. Telephone poles split. I mean, houses down the block, broken glass. I've never seen anything like that, and I've lived in Baltimore City all my life. It's almost like somebody just took a bomb out the side and dropped it on the 3 houses. It completely leveled. When I initially got there, I could hear a voice just saying help. It was crazy. Jones and some other people started calling out, "Is anybody there?" before realizing a child was trapped under the rubble. The group managed to rescue the child, who was reportedly unharmed, according to Jones. Once they said it was a kid in there, I lost it, he said. I just felt like, hey, what if it was me? I'm not a hero, I'm a human. You know? Which, hey, that's part of the many great miseries, man, that's coming upon this place. You know? Slacky. This is Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 5. It says, "The just Yahweh is in the midst thereof." And how is he in the midst? Because the angels are. The angels report back and forth. The angels are the eyes of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. So he's always present, man. It says, "He will not do iniquity. Every morning doth he bring his judgment to light." You know, and this is just part of one of his judgments that he brought to light. Now is what? Nationwide, what is it called? Yeah, it's national news, man. It says, "He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame." Yeah, the unjust knoweth no shame, man. You know, this is Hosea of chapter 14, verse 9. It says, "Who is wise, and he shall understand these things, prudent, and he shall know them. For the ways of Yahweh are right, and the just shall walk in them, but the transgressors shall fall therein." And this is just an example of the things in which the transgressors are going to fall, man. To be a bird alive in this rubble, you know, being exploded, You could tell by all the debris, these people had a lot of shit in their houses, man. Like if they were hoarders or something, man. And then you see this big ass crater right here, you know, from the explosion. That's just the Most High bringing forth His judgment. I'm going to start at verse 10. This is Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 10. It says, "Therefore will I give their wives unto others, and their fields to them that shall inherit them. For every one from the least even unto the greatest is given to covetousness. From the prophet even unto the priest, every one dealeth falsely. For they have healed the hurt of the daughter of my people slightly, saying, Peace, peace, when there is no peace. Were they ashamed when they had committed abomination? Nay, they were not at all ashamed, neither could they blush." Because normally when people blush, they're embarrassed, man. So the Most High saying the individuals in which He's speaking about, they don't have no type of shame to them, man. They're not embarrassed by their actions. They're not embarrassed by the abominations in which they commit. They don't feel any type of way, man. So they don't even blush. They're not embarrassed, right? It says, "Therefore shall they fall among them that fall. In the time of their visitation, they shall be cast down, saith Yahweh," man. And like I said, this is just one of the ways in which Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua can get you. And this is I'm going to start at Numbers chapter 16, verse 29. Now, this whole blast or whatever is like an uncommon death. It happens very rarely, just like someone getting swallowed up in what they will call a sinkhole, man. You know, this is Numbers chapter 16, verse 29. It says, "If these men die the common death of all men, or if they be visited after the visitation of all men, then Yahweh have not sent me. But if Yahweh make a new thing, and the earth open her mouth and swallow them up with all that appertain unto them, and they go down quick into the pit, then he shall understand that these men have provoked Yahweh." So those people that were caught up in there, you know, you heard one woman was caught up in there. They didn't die a common death because you saw that big crater, man. So when these explosions happen, they usually leave a crater, man, in which you get swallowed up into after your debris and your remains descend from the heavens, man, after getting blown up. You know, because that was a huge explosion that leveled, what did it say, 2 or 3 houses, you know. It says, "Then you shall understand that these men have provoked Yahweh. And it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking all these words, that the ground clave asunder that was under them, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up in their houses, and all the men that are pertain unto Korah, and all their goods. They and all that are appertain to them went down alive into the pit, and the earth closed upon them, and they perished from among the congregation." You know? So when people die these different ways of death in which Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua prescribed and ordained, you shouldn't marvel at it, man. It's just their judgment for their past life sins, man. This is Job chapter 4, verse 7. It says, "Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off?" Yeah, because people have they don't have the knowledge of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, so they equate the wisdom of this world with how you're supposed to feel and how you're supposed to think. That's what their whole moral structure is built upon, man, which is totally flawed and it's false. You know, in all actuality, knowing these scriptures, you come to the realization that we live many lives, and with having that opened up for you to receive in your mind, You know that people pay for what they did in their past lives, in their next life, and the things that they did in their present life, or in their next life. And considering that this is the last of our punishment, we're being judged for the things we did in our past life and in this life. Same thing with who the world enemy calls Jesus Christ. He had to die for his sins from when he was Solomon and all the other individuals that he came to earth as, you know. So we're no different, and we're not any more special. So with that, I hope at least one brother of the elect was edified, and I'm going to say shalom.